A killer disclaimer! Before we begin, you must know, my pronunciations are a curse upon this earth. What you're about to witness is a massacre of syllables, a linguistic black death that will crawl into your skull and whisper in voices you'll never unhear. Proceed at your own peril, and may Eru have mercy upon your ears. You have been warned. Alright, ya magnificent bastards. We're doing the stupidest thing since someone let us Skaven near the Warpstone keg. We're mashing Warhammer Fantasy and Lord of the Rings into the biggest magical monster-infested, elf-hunted, dwarf-bearded, dragon-shagging apocalypse of a world. That's right! Middle-earth just slammed face first into the old world like a bloody comet made of balrogs and black orcs. And now everyone's asking, why the fuck is there a steam tank in Gondor? We're not doing some cheap who would win in a fight pish. Oh no, this is a full-blown reality murder. Entire continents are being stitched together by mad gods with no health insurance. Wizards are screaming, orcs are multiplying, and necromancers are unionizing. This is Lord of the Rings x Warhammer Fantasy, Killer Studio style. And if you're not confused and aroused by the end of this video, you're watching it wrong. So like, subscribe, and ring that bloody bell. And if this video does well, maybe I'll do a follow-up. So let's bloody dive in. Lord of the Rings, the granddaddy of all high fantasy. The one that birthed 1,000 knockoffs and made walking across fields a national sport. Written by J.R.R. Tolkien, the man who loves language more than sleep. It's a tale of magic rings, long-dead kings, immortal elves, drunk dwarfs, and evil bastards with flaming eyeballs. It takes place in Middle-earth, a continent full of wonder, wankery, and war. The central story is about some wee hairy lad from the Shire chucking a cursed jewelry piece into a volcano while being hunted by meth-addicted ghosts. Meanwhile, massive battles are happening with orcs, humans, wizards, and eagles that could have ended the entire war in 5 minutes, but decided to fuck off until the last second. You've got main factions such as the Free People, men, elves, dwarfs, and hobbits. The Dark Lord's armies, orcs, trolls, the Nazgul, and a few weirdos like the Ents, Tom Barbadil, who might be a god or a hippie with divine weed. It's a world of prophecies, honor, corruption, and proper grim sacrifice, but with just enough hope not to make you want to neck a bottle of bleach. Right, Warhammer Fantasy. Take everything Tolkien did, then lace it with cocaine, trauma, and the severe distrust of happiness. It's like the world of Lord of the Rings got dumped in a vat of radioactive corruption and left to rot for 6,000 years. You've got the Empire, a Holy Roman Empire on steroids and paranoia. Then the Vampire Counts, who are like Dracula if he ran a medieval death band. The Greenskins, which are orcs turned up to 11, constantly screaming, fighting, and accidentally inventing gods made of collective dumbassery. Then there's chaos, which happens when enough emotions get too horny, angry, or confused and turn into warp spawn gods of death and mutilation. The Skaven are giant rats with more betrayal per capita than Twitter. You've got the Tomb Kings, undead pharaohs who think your souls would look really great in a jar. It's brutal, it's hilarious, it's batshit, and most importantly, it's absolutely perfect to smash headfirst into Middle-earth like a dwarven cannonball. So how the fuck do these two madlands collide? Simple. The gods get bored. No, really, on one side you've got the elder gods of Middle-earth, the Valar, who are basically ancient forces under the Big Daddy, Elvar Iluvatar, sipping cosmic wine and humming reality into existence. On the other side, the winds of magic, the ruinous powers, and every screaming soul in the realm of chaos. Eventually, one curious Valar, Eval Smith, the big lad who forged the dwarfs, starts poking around dimensions, sniffing out different strands of magic. He catches a whiff of Drar, the dark magic of Warhammer Fantasy, and thinks, that's a bit spicy, innit? Meanwhile, Zinch, the chaos god of change, notices someone watching him, and being the manipulative bastard, he decides to invite the Valar to play. There's a burst, a clash, a cosmic dig measuring contest, and then the walls between worlds collapse. Middle-earth and the Warhammer world merge. Not like polite neighbors sharing events. Nah, like tectonic plates having an orgy. Forests mold into mountains. The Sea of Nirn now touches the Sea of Claws. Nagaroth's icy cliffs bleed into the Iron Hills. Lustria's jungles vomit into Mordor. The Dead Marsh merges with Slovenia into one unholy swamp of ghosts and ghouls. Elves wake up to find other elves with skull helmets chanting ancient bastardized high elf speech. Gondorians go to bed peacefully and wake up to Skaven tunneling under their outhouses. The Ents try to negotiate with beastmen and get set on fire. And magic! Oh sweet Christ. Magic goes full nuclear. The controlled subtlety of Tolkien's wizardry clashes violently with the primal winds of Warhammer. Spells now backfire, warp and explode with the wrong vowel. Gandalf tries to light his pipe and nearly summons a bloodthirster. In the skies, stars realign, portals open. Some people gain new powers, others melt. And at the center of it all, the old gods watch, the Valar, the Chaos Gods, the Eldari deities, and the Lords of Undead. And all now aware of each other. And none of them are fucking happy about it. Thus begins the age of ruin and realignment. Two worlds now one. Two histories bleed into each other. And 1,000 armies ready to make this world burn. Alright, you magnificent bastards. Now that you're hopefully still with me after this cosmic clusterfuck of reality smashing, it's time to take a long, hard look at the fucked up world we now live in. Picture this. 2 whole continents, Middle-earth and the old world, have smashed together like 2 pissed off drunks in a back alley brawl. And the gods, they just sat back with a pint and laughed their arses off. Imagine tectonic plates having a nasty divorce, screaming, smashing all over each other. That's your new world, a patchwork quilt sewn together with magic and bad decisions. So, where is everyone now? Let's break that down. Mordorian Slovenia, the undead wasteland. This place is what happens when Mordor and Slovenia decide to share a flat. The volcanic hellscape of Mordor has fused with the fogs and plague-ridden marshes of Slovenia. Nagash doesn't care about Sauron's shiny eye anymore. He's taken over, and honestly, he's way scarier. The Witch King of Anmar now spends most of his time arguing with Manfred von Karstein over who gets to boss the undead legions around. Spoiler! Big Ash's minions just laugh at them both. Orcs, skeletons, and vampires run amok here. It's a never-ending zombie rave where no one knows if the music is good or screaming is just part of the beat. Ulthuan Lothlórien Convergence, Elf Central 2.0. The High Elves of Ulthuan, Warhammer's version, and the Elves of Lothlórien, Tolkien's crowd, got shoved together and immediately started passive-aggressive yelling matches over whose forests smell nicer. Teclis and Galadriel have formed an uneasy alliance, mostly because if they don't, the winds of magic will tear the world apart. The forests here are alive in weird ways now. Think ancient trees with PTSDs and magical hangovers. Elven archers still shoot arrows like they hate everyone, which, let's be honest, is most people. Kazikarik Moria holds the grumpy dwarf cluster. Dwarfs from both universes now share cramped mountain halls and brewing problems. The old world's dwarfs and Middle-earth dwarfs hate each other, but they hate everyone else more. They've teamed up to dig deeper, because of course, that never goes wrong. Rumor has it they're crafting new weapons, probably cursed and definitely loud as hell. Merc's Skaven Blight, the Rat Apocalypse meets Spider Nightmare. The Rat Men of the Skaven have found a new smorgasbord in the dark woods of Mirkwood. Skavens believe the giant spiders are a demonic blessing. The spiders believe the Skaven are tasty snacks. Guess who's wrong? Everyone. The woods are a chaotic nest of tunnels, webs, and swamp-like nightmares. You don't want to go spelunking here unless you're really into screaming. Rumors say Thanquil has started experimenting with spider venom and warp stones. Nothing good will come of it. Nakara Southlands, the Desert Death Parade. The ancient Tomb Kings have risen and claimed the deserts of Handril and Kahand as their own. Settra the Imperishable rides a Mumakil like it's a bloody parade float and he expects everyone to bow. The sands here shift with ancient curses and undead armies march under the blazing sun. The Haradrim aren't exactly thrilled, but they're smart enough to stay out of Settra's way unless they want to become souls in a jar and sold. Chaos East, the warp wreckage. The Eastlands have been completely overrun by chaos. Rohan has practically become a warp rift. Volcanoes bubble with Khorne's bloodlust. Swamps reek of Nurgle decay, and everything sparkles suspiciously with Zinchian curses. Gandalf lost his hat to Zinch last Tuesday, and he's still pissed about it. If you're looking for an easy way to die, this is your spot. So now you know where everyone is. Billions have died in this new hellscape, but not by war. Not by monsters, but by the simple, cosmic slap fight the gods threw at each other when they got bored. The world is an unstable mess of magic, hatred, and sheer lunacy. Now you know the chessboard, the pieces, and who's plotting to stab who in the back. Get ready for a proper fucking story! Now, our story focuses on one of the many battles across the sprawling new world. It is known as the Siege of Black Hollow. So let me set the stage for all of you. Black Hollow, not the place for the faint of heart. Jagged cliffs kiss the angry sky. Crumbling dwarven fortresses cling to the rocks like drunken bats. And miasma of magic and rot hangs thick enough to choke a troll. The merging of the Misty Mountains and the World Edge Mountains wasn't just geological. It was a fuck-up of cosmic proportions. Shattered stone and bleeding forests. Blasted by eldritch winds of magic. It's the perfect shit show for desperate souls to bleed and die in. Our motley band of defenders holds the last damn foothold. An ancient dwarven fortress called Stone's Crag Hold. Perched like a wart on the side of a mountain, they're outnumbered, outgunned, and running on stale ale and bitter hope. Now, onto our cast of chaos. Captain Ulrich Grimson, the grumpiest dwarf in the world. One foot in the grave and the other in a bottle of Bugman's ale. Lost an eye in the end times. Lost half his patience in this goddamn siege. Every grunt, every curse, every grunt under his breath is a declaration of I'm too fucking old for this shite. Eric, son of Erom, roaring into battle with more balls than brains, riding his war horse, Stormhoof, like the world's about to end, and he'll make damn sure it does, one spear thrust at a time. He has zero chill, infinite courage, and absolutely is going to get himself killed. Magister Wolfrang Bilch, a mad scientist wizard with warpstone addiction. He's fused elven runes, magic with the unpredictability of the winds of magic. The result? Half the time it works. The other half, the ground actually explodes beneath you. His experiments have caused more friendly fire than enemy casualties. Valdark the Pale, a vampire lord with a penchant for dramatic flair and shitey poetry, believes he's the next big thing in undead aristocracy. But no one's told his army yet. His mist-shrouded presence is unsettling. Uzrak Grimsplitter, an orc war boss who treats diplomacy like it's his footstool and war like an all-you-can-smash buffet. Loud, brutal, and smarter than most greenskins, which isn't saying much. Uzrak is a walking disaster with a grin the size of a doom wheel. The siege kicks off with the usual shitstorm of noise, sweat, and bad decisions. Captain Ulrich Grimson stands atop the battered battlements, swearing like a sailor who just stubbed his toe on a cursed runed stone. He slams his axe into the ancient stonework, rattling the whole fortress. If this bloody fortress falls, I'm retiring to a keg of Bugman's ale and a long dark nap in the halls of my ancestors, he bellows, his voice rough like gravel mixed with whiskey. Nearby, a halfling courier nearly wets himself, his nerves hiccup, echoing off the walls like a tiny alarm bell. The dwarf's beard bristles as a cold wind howls through the shattered towers. A grim reminder that death is circling like a vulture at a pie-eating contest. Then, out of the dust and smoke, bursts Eric, son of Emron, galloping in on his warhorse, Stormhoof, with all the subtlety of a drunk banshee in a china shop. His spear whips through the air like a thunderclap, and he shouts, "The orcs will break like glass beneath my charge." His war cry is half lost to history. The horse neighs in terror, probably confused if he's friend or just another screaming lunatic. Without wasting a moment, Eric flings himself into the dark valley below, a swirling pit of shadow and death. Now, back inside the fortress, Wolffang fumbles with a spellbook like a kid with a firework in a thunderstorm. More warpstone, more power. He mutters, eyes gleaming with obsession. His fingers slip, and a minor explosion blows his hat clean off, setting a near crate of dried rations on fire. Fucking hell, not again. He groans as he hurriedly stomps out, leaving a small cloud of acid and smoke and burnt toast smell hanging in the air. Now, outside the fortress, a mist is rolling in, and out creeps Umrak's Grillimspritter's orcs horde, snarling and barking and screaming in a language that sounds like nails being dragged backwards across a chalkboard. They're a mass of green muscle, tusks, and bad breath, wielding axes the size of tree trunks. Behind them, the shadows twist, pulse, as Valdrak the Pale's undead legions glide forward like a nightmare on stilts. Black-robed skeletons' eyes glowing with eerie green light. Whispers carry rusted blades that drip cold death, and half-rotting trolls that groan with hunger and unholy rage. The earth trembles as Urak bellows, a war cry that echoes across the jungle cliffs. Break the bones! Split the skulls! Feast on the souls! Make the fortress our bloody scorched toy! Now you see, the orcs and Valdrak have an uneasy alliance. Why? They both want the fortress, for two very different reasons. One slaughter, the other fame. You can decide who wants what. But I can tell you, this fortress is valuable enough to make even these two great warlords decide to put the differences aside for victory. But this fortress, while being a crumbling mess from many sieges, is still very much an impenetrable and impregnable place. Even Valdrak, with all of his undead might, couldn't simply capture this magnificent place on his own. But luckily for him, the orcs just love beating people up for the sake of it, and they'll work with undead humies if it means they can beat more people up. Now, the first wave crashes against dwarven shields like a storm of molten iron. Orcs charge in a tidal wave of green fury, axes swinging, teeth gouging, spears snapping like twigs underfoot, and the blood that flows mixes with the eternal mud that clings to black hollow like a second skin. Eric screams through the chaos, a spear-wielding maniac cutting down orcs with reckless abandonment. At one point, he is surrounded by snarling goblins, small, violent little bastards with more teeth than sense. Without hesitating, Eric punches through them square in the gobby mug, gritting through spattered blood. "That'll teach ya, you cunts," he roars, adrenaline pumping so hard in his veins he might burst. Meanwhile, Ulthuan tries desperately to cast wards to hold back the creeping undead. His words trip over themselves, and instead of a shining shield, he accidentally summoned a flaming skull that takes a personal dislike to him. The skull chases the wizard around the courtyard for a good 10 minutes, exploding in a burst of flames just as he nearly catches him, leaving Ulthuan singed and sputtering curses about infernal spirits and cursed warpstone. Now, deep beneath the fortress, Ulrich leads a small, grim team of dwarfs through ancient tunnels carved into the mountains long before either world existed. "Stick to the shadows," Ulrich growls, voice slow and dangerous. "Keep your mouth shut, or I'll shut them for ya." Now the tunnels are a labyrinth of crumbling stone, ancient traps, and forgotten horrors. A puzzle that could kill you in a dozen ways if you're careless. The team carefully sets charges in a damp storage cave beneath the enemy supply line, with a brutal explosion that shakes the mountain. The supply cache is obliterated in a shower of shattering bowels, burning food, and screaming rats. The blast nearly traps them in the tunnels forever, but they claw their way out just in time, coughing and covered in dust and grim satisfaction. Now, above the ground, Valdrak waves his dark magic from the cliff's edge, chanting his horrors and his terrible poetry. Verses so bad they would make a banshee throw up. Some of the defenders hear his chants. They lose their minds and wander off into the black woods to be torn apart by unseen horrors. Others just glance at him and wish his mouth got eaten by a bunch of swarming bloodflies. Now, just when hope is fastly fading like a drunken dwarf at closing time, Ulrich's team burst back into Stormcrag Hold, hauling with them a pair of ancient dwarven siege cannons, relics buried beneath the ruins and inscribed with glowing runes. The siege engines roar to life with thunderous fury, flaming enchanted cannonballs that arc through the night sky, explodes among the orcs and undead ranks in showering flames and shattered bones. The massive explosions light up Black Hollow like a goddamn firework festival, a blazing beacon of hope and heroic defenders. And of course, seizing the moment, Eric rallies the shattered troops with a roar that could wake the dead. He cuts through the orcs and the undead armies with a ferocity of a storm unleashed, each spear thrust a mighty blow against the army. The battle is won at the cost of many lives and a few bruised egos. The enemy retreats into the swirling mists, dragging their broken bones and their shattered pride with them. Valdak slips into the shadows, swearing revenge, and leaves behind whispers of curses and more terrible poetry no one bloody asked for. Ulrich raises a well-earned pint, swigging deep and muttering to himself, "The gods must have a sick sense of humor to keep throwing this shitstorm at me." Eric cleans his spear, already itching for the next fight, muttering about honor blood debts, and probably regretting his last haircut. And Wolffang is quietly stitching plans for a better spell, one that hopefully won't set half the bloody fortress on fire. So there ya have it, ya magnificent bastards! The Siege of Black Hollow, where dwarfs curse louder than the cannon fire, orcs smash with reckless glee, and wizards blow themselves up trying to look clever. So if you like watching this chaos, blood, and a whole lot of what the fuck just happened, then do me a bloody massive solid. Smash that like button like it owes you a pint. Hit subscribe so you don't miss when this bonkers world explodes again. And ring that bell like you're trying to wake up from a hangover. I've got plenty more madness brewing for this warped world mashup. So if you want more, let me know in the comments. Tell me who you want to see survive, who you want to get their skull crushed, and what poor sod deserves to get a death so spectacular it breaks YouTube's rules. Until then, keep your axes sharp, your spells sharper, and remember, in this merge mess of magic and madness, the only thing certain is nobody is coming out unscathed. So have a killing day, ya bloody legends, and I'll see ya in the next one.